about somebody. This feeling I wanna go with it, cause there's no way we're hiding away from this tonight. This tonight. Can tell you want me by the way I see you staring across the room, babe. No shame in the game, just cut the shit beyond this. Yeah, you know what you gotta do tonight. Do tonight. Just want you to make me move, like it ain't a choice for you, like you got a job to do. Just want you to raise my roof, something sensational. Oh, yeah. Make me
here we are, I need you. I've always wanted what was off limits. Staring at you till I'm caught in this. Back and forth like this was all tennis. I'm all jealous, you came with someone, but we can tell that there's changes coming. See, I can tell that you're a dangerous woman. That means you're speaking my language. Come on, now follow me, let's go. Like Vanilla V and Blow. Well aware that stealing you is a felony, yeah I know. That's why they keep on telling me to let go, yeah. But I need you and I can take you all the way, and I'm able to give you something sensational, so let's go, yeah. Said I need you and I can take you all the way, and I'm able, so follow me and I can make you move, yeah.
Welcome to my stream. I'm doing something really special today. I'm gonna be really tiny today because this is something really cool that I'm doing. It's gonna be with virtual reality, so I'm super excited about this. This is gonna be my first time doing this ever. Tomorrow I'll be playing bingo, trying to win an Oculus so we can start doing VR streams. But in the meantime, we're gonna stay with this. If you missed The Walking Dead last night, I'm sorry. It's getting really good. We're gonna be continuing that at midnight tonight. And shout out to C. Willie, known as Paul. Today's his birthday. So please tag him at response that it's his birthday. Happy birthday. It's just me and the birthday boy, so it's whatever. When the tourist is talking, I'm not gonna be talking, so just listen. It's gonna be 1 hour stream of something different. Enjoy, guys. Alrighty, let's start this. I don't want to be late. Okay. Let me know if you see the screen. Oh, by the way, you're gonna hear me talking to you guys and also to the people in the game. That is you. Yes. Hi, Scott. Oh, crud. Hold on. You can't see my password. What's my password? Let's see. Ah! It's signing me out. How annoying. Keep me locked in. Alright. We're back.
Let's see. Shift L.
Hey there.
Hello.
Nice avatar.
Hello.
Thank you.
Welcome to help. If you have any questions or need any help with anything, please let us know.
I am going to the mummy tour. Oh, look, it's Link. Hi, Link.
Hey there.
Oh yeah, that is starting in right now.
Oh, let me go there, Dan.
Crap.
Yeah, you can just go ahead and click on the tomb or go through the portal out over there.
Thank you. All right.
Really great Egyptology
Take it down or
programs and
something.
collections and stuff.
Oh,
So
that's
if we,
true.
So if
That's
we inspire
true.
you today, you can head down to Amsterdam or Leiden or something and go see
Yeah.
what's going on.
I know. Especially the Albert Pisa Museum.
Yes.
We have to go. Or in The Hague, they also have
Mhm.
one of the museums.
In
I
my
know.
graduate class training, all of my professors were from Leiden. So
Okay. Oh, yeah. Then it's over there.
yeah. So it's like I've got an all Dutch uprearing, as it were.
Yeah,
in
so
this.
true.
It's not loading.
Oh,
Ah,
here comes
oh,
some
dear.
people.
It does take a little
Ah.
while to load.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
That's why I come 1 hour earlier so that you can
Yeah, exactly.
be completely.
Oh, I
right.
wish I knew about that.
Yeah.
Darn. It's okay.
No, it shouldn't. It
Exactly.
shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to figure out. But just in case, it's always good to be very early.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, it's totally like black now. And I can't move my character. Hold on, let me go back to the spot and then come back here.
I have a twin sister. I've been coming
Yeah.
over there.
Popular avatar.
I know. I
Oh,
try to
oh.
have red hair in every.
There we go.
Social virtual.
It's back. Alright, it's working. Yay, we're in the tomb, guys. Yay.
You're moving.
I am moving. Oh, let's be friends, Link.
All right, Bethany.
Do you want me to
I
start?
am.
I think so.
Okay.
Is it working?
People show up,
Wait,
I'll get
over.
them inside.
All
I
right.
am.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm Bethany. I'll be your tour guide today. I'm an archaeologist and Egyptologist. I've worked in Egypt for 11 years. And I've never been inside the Tomb of Nefertari in real life because it was closed during most of my schooling and work in Egypt. It's been closed for the last 20 years, pretty much continuously, because it was being repaired. It was being conserved and restored by archaeologists and curators. the previous generations of tourists had brought so much moisture to the tomb just by breathing and being in the space that it started to create problems with mold and crystallization that were pulling the paint right off the walls and making the plaster collapse. So they just opened the tomb to tourism last year. So if you're ever in Luxor in Egypt, visit the Valley of the Kings. Right next door is the Valley of the Queens, where the tomb of Nefertari is. You can get in for about $50 American for a 15-minute visit, no photographs. And they're really trying to limit to only 100 people a day to limit the ability to create moisture and cause more problems in the future in the tomb. So the model we're looking in today, you get to spend a full hour in, so that's great. You can't hurt anything because it's virtual. But we're not, that's important. It's really important. But more, a little bit differently than what you'd see if you actually went to the tomb today. We're looking at a fully restored ancient model, how the tomb would have looked when it was brand new. So in areas where today there's big plaster falls off the wall and there's no more paintings, these have been restored in the model by what we know used to be there from 100 years ago from photographs when the tomb was first found, or from archaeologists reading the surviving text and going, oh, we know what the rest of this text is, let's keep on filling in the blanks. There's a couple of areas where our understanding of the tomb gets a little questionable, and so some decisions were made that were a little bit more artistic than scientific, and we can talk about that. But right now, let's go inside the tomb. We'll make sure that everyone once inside can see it properly, and then we'll get started. Follow me on in.
Hey, before everyone goes down there, though, you might want to click on click to set memory to max.
Good idea.
Where do we click that?
Wait,
It's
what?
on the wall right back there.
There's a sign over here.
Oh yeah.
Do we point our trigger at it?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I just
Did I do
Yeah, you
it?
should hear a little beep.
Yep, I did
did. I
it.
heard a beep. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's kind of slow right now, but
It'll get there.
How I look
Okay.
down with my controller. Oh, never mind.
Come on down.
Oh, this is cool.
It's loading okay then?
Yeah, it's loading really good. Yeah.
Great.
Wow. So cool.
It's a really beautiful model.
yeah, I've been in this model before. I think I have it on my Oculus,
Ah.
but I haven't had a tour guide.
There is another model available online of the tomb as it is today, and that gives you a sort of automated tour through where pictures on the wall will light up and a voice will tell you about it. But since I'm here, you can interrupt the tour at any time, ask questions, ask for clarification. We can go a bit off topic if you want to know about Egypt more in general or the tomb specifically. So I really want this to be sort of as interactive as possible since you've got a real live person here. So welcome to the tomb of Nefertari. You're standing in an environment that is about 1255 BCE, so 3,000 years ago and a bit more. Nefertari, when she died, was probably around 35 years old, and at the time, she was the most powerful woman in Egypt, by far. She was the chief queen of Ramses II. Ramses II was one of the most famous and powerful pharaohs that Egypt ever saw. He's usually associated with the story of Exodus and in other cultural narratives. He certainly, during his own lifetime, portrayed himself as a huge conqueror of the known world. Under his rule, Egypt stretched all the way from the bottom of what is now Sudan to the southern coast of Turkey. He owned essentially the entire Levant all the way over to the top of Mesopotamia, where he was fighting with those empires for control. So he was a hugely important person. He was a megalomaniac, and he made giant sculptures of himself carved into mountains and everything. Out of his at least 50 official wives, Nefertari was his chief royal wife, his favorite queen. And that was an official position that a pharaoh usually gave to his favorite wife and the mother of the future king, that sort of thing. But the honors that we see that were given to Nefertari in this tomb and during her lifetime go far beyond what was protocol for a great royal wife. Nefertari is given honors that are astonishingly important, that Ramses by no means had to give her. For some reason, he elevated her above what was even expected of a woman of her status. And within this tomb particularly, she is shown as if she's not just a dead person entering the afterlife, hoping to make it to a good eternal place, but she's essentially joining the gods as if she's one of them. She's being somewhat deified herself. And along the tomb, we'll see her do all the usual things of travel through the underworld that other Egyptians were expected to have to do. You have to face the obstacles on your journey. You have to face final judgment against the court of the gods to see if your life was lived in balance with the universe. But the other scenes show Nefertari incredibly powerful, being welcomed by the gods as if she's one of them. So let's take a look at her. Right near the entrance of the tomb on this wall, right as if she's just come down the stairs and is in the door, here's Nefertari. And she'll look like this throughout the tomb. She's the only human depicted in the tomb, and she's almost always dressed like this, the white linen dress that is so thin you can see her arms and legs through it. You can see the sleeves show the extra folds of the big sleeves and then varying levels of transparency. She has a red belt, and most astonishingly, she has this big tall crown topped with 2 ostrich feathers and a sun disk, showing she is a priestess of the gods here. But below that, she's wearing a crown that is shaped like a vulture. And that is a very familiar crown for goddesses and queens to wear. The vulture in ancient Egypt was a protective symbol. It was very positively thought of. Like all birds that circle in the sky, vultures were seen to be all-seeing and all-knowing and sort of watching us from above. And vultures in particular got associated with queens and women because the word vulture in ancient Egyptian is mut, which is also the word for mother. So in wearing this headdress, Nefertari is sort of showing herself not only to be associated with gods and goddesses and to be very powerful, but she's also kind of projecting herself as mother of the future king. Now in real life, Nefertari's children died before their father did. Ramses II lived to be 90-some years old. So all of Nefertari's kids predeceased their father by a couple of decades, actually. So she never actually did have a son on the throne. But during her lifetime, she didn't know that. She fully expected her favorite kid to take over someday. So in this tomb, she's constantly depicted as a queen, as a mother of future kings, and part of that cycle of rebirth and continuity that the Egyptians really believed in. Someday her husband will die and her son will become the new king, and the cycle will start over and over again. And by being a powerful queen that supports the throne, giving birth to the future heir, she is part of this regenerative cycle. And it makes perfect sense for a tomb where she wants to be reborn and relive a perfect life in eternity, essentially. So Nefertari in this picture is shown facing the gods as she walks into the tomb. If you get disoriented in this tomb, remember Nefertari is always depicted as if she's walking deeper into the tomb, and the gods are facing to greet her. So if you're ever in a real Egyptian tomb and you get overwhelmed by the heat or the, moisture content of the bad air, follow the gods' faces, go straight out the door that way. You can't get lost in an Egyptian tomb if you keep that in mind. And as someone who has fainted in an Egyptian tomb before, this is really valuable advice. You need to know how to find fresh air. So here she is, paying homage to the god Osiris, who is the chief god of the afterlife. His mythology is that he was king of the gods on earth, and then his brother killed him and stole the throne. And it's very Macbeth, it's very Lion King. And then his wonderful wife, Isis, brought him back to life. She mummified the body, she preserved him, and she brought him back to life long enough that they could have a child and an heir to the throne. And after that, Osiris becomes the god in the underworld, and their son Horus becomes god ruling over earth as a king. And so again, it's a story of someone dying, but the cycle continuing. You're going to see that a lot in this tomb. And the gesture Nefertari is making in this picture is really important, and she makes it a few times in the tomb. You'll see right over here, she's doing the same thing with her hands, to this facing this long line of gods and underworld characters. This is how you pray in the ancient worlds. Almost all ancient religions, including early Christianity, prayed with their palms open, either facing up and out or towards the focus of the statue or the image that you're praying to. It's also a gesture of giving something. You can actually have objects in your hands that you're offering. So it's a very give, receive, open gesture that you'll see. Christians didn't begin to pray on their hands and on their knees with their hands together until well into the Middle Ages. So this is A very common thing you'll find on early Christian tombstones too, which is kind of neat. So Nefertari is worshiping the gods as she comes in, and on this wall, all the way around, you can see she's worshiping and giving praise and blessing and wishing for blessing in return to all these other underworld figures. The story of an Egyptian's journey through the afterlife is always a journey. You don't just die and wake up suddenly and you're in heaven. You have to walk there or take a boat there. You have to get there through a long trip. And so the spells you'll see written all along the tomb are mostly instructions for her when she is in the afterlife. They tell her which path to take. They tell her when she comes across the guardian of the gate what his name is, and if there's a password, tell us what the password is, and what bribes the guard might want to receive, or what the pitfalls and dangers might be if you stray off the path. And Egyptian belief is essentially that once it's written down, that is speech preserved forever and being repeated over and over again. So even if you were an illiterate Egyptian who couldn't read, as long as you had the text with you on a scroll or an amulet or on the walls of your tomb, it would be read for you and it would become true. So just by having the text, you are given the instructions, and in fact, you're given the pass. If it describes you walking through the first gate successfully, then you have walked through the first gate successfully. Words are truth, and words preserved in writing are permanent truth. The Egyptians were very into finding clever legal loopholes around things they feared, like death and annihilation. So they thought if they wrote it all out, if they planned ahead enough, they would be able to lessen their chances of failure, and in some cases guarantee their success, sorry. So let's go into these rooms here. We'll start right up in this little space. These top rooms, before we go down the stairs, focus on Nefertari's relationship with the gods, and these are really extraordinary images that you won't necessarily see in other people's tombs. If you look on these walls, most of the walls here are symmetrical, so if you want to go to either one, you can probably see the same thing what I'm talking about. They show Nefertari holding hands with a god or a goddess. She's being welcomed and led in to meet the other gods as if she's one of them. Look how tall she is. Look at their postures. They are open and greeting her. She is honored enough to be part of them. If this was any other Egyptian's tomb, no matter how rich, unless you're the king or this very special queen, you don't get to be welcomed by the gods like this. They are so far above you. You would appear as a little speck-sized thing at their feet, if at all, and you wouldn't get to touch them. They would welcome you in, but it would be in a very like, hi, welcome to the party, you're not of interest to me sort of way. The other thing that's really interesting about the art, besides the intimate details we sort of have with the hand-holding, is most Egyptian art throughout history is colored very flatly, like a coloring book. You have one color of yellow throughout the whole tomb. You have one color of red or brown. It's very limited. And you might have decorations on top, and there might be a lot of detail, but the colors itself are usually pretty unmixed, limited to major hues. But if you look at Nefertari, the artists in this tomb started to experiment to make her really stand out. And you can see whenever she appears, she usually has blushed cheeks. Her nose and her chin are a little bit darker too. And they've put in some sort of shading on her to make her look a little bit more real, a little bit more natural. This isn't something they had to do. The pictures, the spells in the tomb would work just as well if they weren't well drawn, as long as they're correct enough. You don't need to have this high quality of art. But they put it in here to make it really clear to everyone who was working on the tomb, everyone who saw the tomb during her funeral, and the gods themselves once she's buried in this tomb. This is an important person. This person deserves all the highest honors and all the greatest details all the greatest blessings we can give to her. So throughout the tomb, keep a lookout for Nefertari and the way they treat her face and her depiction compared to the other people. You'll see even the gods. This goddess here doesn't have shading at all. She's just a flat yellow character. It's also interesting to look at the skin colors of the gods and goddesses if you want. In general, the standard in Egyptian art is to present men as tanner, darker than women. So women are usually a kind of yellowish color, and men are usually a reddish-brown color. That doesn't reflect actual skin tones of their lives. It just sort of reflects an ideal man-woman, like pink or blue kind of, color coding. But with Nefertari, they play with her skin tone a lot. Sometimes she's quite pale. Sometimes they make a pink color for her. Other times they paint her very dark. And scholars wonder, is this bordering on trying to depict her as she really was? What color was her skin tone? Do they want it to be portraiture? Or do they just playing with variety of what is considered beautiful in ancient Egyptian art? The number one goal in tomb art is to depict the deceased person as if they're perfect. They're at their strongest, most youthful, most healthy phase. You will never see a weak, older person in their tomb, because however they're depicted is the avatar, essentially, they're going to have forever. This is the image she is going to be walking around in. And so whether or not she might have been grossly overweight, crippled, who knows what when she died, we don't know. But this is how she's walking around the afterlife. This is how she wants to be depicted, remembered, and embody this form.
I have a question.
Sure.
The question is so you talk about her as herself, when she was alive in the time when pharaohs and, pyramids and stuff, were they basically honored, were they royalty? Because I noticed the pharaohs had more authority than the woman in Egypt. Is that true?
Yeah. The pharaoh is essentially just their word for king. And it's actually literally the word for big house. So it's like saying the White House says. It's part of the office titles. Their word for king was actually Nessi, or Nisu. So some Egyptologists are starting to refer to them instead of Pharaoh, Ramses. They're starting to say Nisu pharaohs. We're trying to take back the language the Egyptians used. Yes, it was a very unequal society, but it wasn't always strictly that men are better than women. In a lot of cases, Egypt was pretty equal for the ancient world, better than most other places you'd visit, Greece or Rome. Women had no rights there. In Egypt, women could inherit, they could own property, they could divorce. When you divorced, they got to take half the stuff. It was pretty nice like that. But in terms of ruling government, it was usually a king picked over a queen. What's interesting about Nefertari and a handful of other queens is the kings gave them equal or almost equal status, in that they're raising this woman saying, yes, she is my partner. And one of the rules of queenship is she's got to be pure. She's got to be considered incredibly powerful, important, and divine in her own right, because she's giving birth to the king. You don't want to admit that the future king came from some nobody. So the queen has to be somewhat divine herself, too. And even when the kings married commoners, which they did a lot, and even when those commoners had kids, sometimes that commoner woman would be raised to chief queen. And they'd say, well, she was born common, but the gods were there when she was born. We just didn't realize it at the time. What's really interesting about Nefertari is outside of this tomb, we don't know much about her life. We know that she was queen, we know that she had kids, but we don't know where she came from. She could have been a commoner. There's a couple of clues in this tomb that she maybe wanted to keep her past a little bit secret, that she really just wanted to emphasize her role as queen and nothing else. But she could have also been a member of the royal family or a very powerful, rich person. Whatever the reason, Ramses picked her and gave her way more power than he had to. Even if she was his relative who was considered super royal and he kind of had to marry her in an arranged way, there's no reason he should ever have made her as powerful as he did, unless he wanted to. You couldn't have pressured him into making her his equal, because this is the biggest megalomaniac ever. We're talking about Ramses II. I mean, he carved himself into the sides of mountains. And yet he carved Nefertari right alongside him. And one of those mountains, she's the same height as him. So this is a person, whatever Nefertari did in her lifetime, maybe she was just so beautiful, Ramses couldn't resist her. Maybe she was super smart and useful to him. We don't know. But she's considered almost Ramses' equal, which is unheard of. That's just a crazy thing to say in the ancient world. Man, woman, fine, you can be man and wife equal, but king equal to his queen? No. That doesn't happen. Whatever Nefertari did, she was extraordinary. I really wish we knew more about her as a person. Let's move into this room and we can see some of the stuff that would have been in this tomb. I'll stand right here. Come on in, there's enough room in this one. So Nefertari's tomb was discovered by archaeologists about 1905, and by then it had been emptied by tomb robbers for already a couple of thousand years. Her tomb was probably emptied less than 100 years after she died. We know that around that time period, there were lots of tomb robbers going around destroying tombs in the Valley of the Kings and the Queens, because one of the groups of robbers got caught. And then the king at the time had a huge task force of police go to each of the tombs, take inventory on what had been damaged or what needed to be fixed. And they took a lot of the royal mummies that they found and they reburied them in a secret spot. And that's why today we have a lot of really well-preserved royal mummies from ancient Egypt, mostly in the Cairo Museum. We have Ramses II. If you want, after this tour, Google Ramses II mummy, and you can see him. He is beautifully preserved for a 95-year-old man. You can still see his eyelashes and his fingernails and his hair. It's really interesting. Nefertari probably would have been just as expensively and well-preserved. But when her tomb was robbed out, not only did they take all the valuables, they ripped apart her mummy looking for jewelry. And so all we have left of her is about from her thighs to her mid-calves. We have both her legs, her knees. And they're in a museum in Italy. And we know they're her because there was a rumor that they'd been found somewhere in this tomb, but no one kept good records in 1905. So we DNA tested them, and they do seem to be related to the other mummies in her family, the princes and things like that, which is really cool. But unfortunately, since there's only knees of her left, we can't answer questions about her height or even her specific age or what she looked like or her health, all those kinds of things we can do with the other mummies. We also don't have the stuff from her tomb. So the model you're standing in today has put some objects in to give you an idea of the sorts of materials that would be in here. We have the game Senate, which is an early board game where you move your character across the different squares to try to get into the afterlife. We've got all these shabtis on the floor, which are little figurines of servants that will come to life in the afterlife and do your work for you. Very, very useful. The Egyptians didn't really have a tradition of killing slaves and burying them with them and taking them to the afterworld. They used little fake people. They used dolls that came to life, and that sort of freed up a lot of workers to continue on after the pharaoh died. They were very practical people at their finest. But all the things you do see, while they're Egyptian things, Nefertari's probably would have been of better quality. Instead of painted wood, it probably would have been real ebony and cedar and ivory, and there'd be a lot more gold, things like that. If you're familiar with the belongings from the tomb of King Tutankhamun, all the beautiful gold things, that's great. He was a king, so technically he outranked Nefertari as a queen. He was about 150 years before her. But also, King Tut was a very unimportant king. He only reigned a little while, and his tomb was just full of what they had when he died, and they just sort of shoved it in. Nefertari planned for her funeral. She had this tomb decorated, probably according to her own official approval. This tomb was probably full of much more beautiful, much more expensive things. Unfortunately, the tomb robbers got there, so we're never going to know. But we can tell some of the kinds of things she would have had in here because the paintings also reflect that. For instance, in this painting, she has a table covered with these symbols and a platter covered with these symbols, and she's offering to the god Ta. This symbol is the hieroglyph. It's the word for cloth. So she's basically saying she's giving endless amounts of cloth to the god. This is something you did in a real temple festival. You offered new clothes to the god, to his statue. You actually dressed up the statue each day in clean clothes, and you offered it food and beverages. It's your way of showing piety to them as living creatures. But it's also cloth that Nefertari is going to get to use in the afterlife. So she's always going to have clean, pure clothes of whatever style she wants in perpetuity. See how many she has, and in between are the symbols for like multitude, for 1,000 essentially. You also see on this wall, Nefertari is making sacrifice. It's a double scene. She's on both ends of the wall. She's making a sacrifice to the gods. Here's Osiris, and then here is Atum, creator of the universe. So she's giving blessings to this life and the next. And she's doing it with a huge altar table stacked of food. And right on top, there's little white bowls with incense smoke coming off. Can anyone tell what this thing is? It's food, but it's not processed yet. It's very raw form food. Come close and look. The tail might help.
It's a fish?
It's not a fish, no. It's furry. It's painted with little fuzzy details.
It's an animal?
It's an animal. It's a big animal. There's a hint if you want to look at that wall too.
A camel? Oh, is it an antelope or like a deer?
Nope, it's cows.
It's
cows.
Okay.
So their heads are missing. They've been chopped off. And then you see the backbone and the tail curled around. She is offering the gods stacks of beef. And just like today, steak is very expensive and it's sort of an elite food. Right here you see there's what they called the foreleg, the front leg, which they considered the prime rib. They thought that was the most beautiful cut of meat you could have. And you also see stacks of ribs and there's some other pieces inside. She is giving very expensive offerings to the gods. But since she's giving it to the gods, she's also giving it to herself. If anyone in ancient times goes to an Egyptian temple, they have a wish or a prayer they want to make, you take a duck, whatever you can afford, and the priest will accept the duck and then say the right words over it and then he gets to a point in the spell where he says, okay, the gods have taken the part that they want, you may have what's left. And since the gods don't physically come down and eat the duck, the whole duck is left. And so anytime you make a sacrifice in the ancient world, you are having a barbecue party for yourself and anyone else who's there. So Nefertari, as Queen of Egypt, is not only dedicating all this stuff to the gods, but she's dedicating it to herself. She's going to get to eat this food in the afterlife. And she's symbolically providing for all of Egypt. If she, during life, was at a temple festival and she made a huge sacrifice of meat, everyone there gets to eat beef. Egyptian holidays are about eating free food, drinking free beer, and there's music and dancing. Even the most solemn occasions, which are about, funerals and death, they all involve getting drunk and dancing because it's not sad, it's about the miracle of new life. So if you have to sign up for an ancient afterlife, the Egyptians were considered the most popular. We know that Greeks and Romans were converting and getting buried as mummies because they thought it was such a great afterlife. They're like, this is the one I want. Forget being a ghost in Hades. I want a beef barbecue every day. And they did. Roman citizens were getting embalmed like mummies. And it was insane to the other Romans. But who doesn't want this beautiful afterlife? The Egyptians are very full of joy. I'd really like to stress that. They are not afraid of death. They just want to live forever because life can be so fun. So there's one thing we do need to talk about, the Egyptian concept of balance, of order, of justice. They have one word for it, and it's called ma'at. It's usually spelled M-A'-A-T, so you get both the A's in there. Ma'at means cosmic order. It means the sun will come up in the morning again because Ma'at is restored. Justice and order will always be there. The opposite of Ma'at is chaos. Their word for that was Isfet, and they almost never wrote it out, said it, anything. They were afraid of chaos. Chaos, annihilation, nothingness, that's what they fear. Ma'at is goodness, order, balance. It doesn't mean good versus evil. They didn't really believe in good versus evil too much, but they believed in everything had to be in balance in the universe. So Ma'at was depicted as a goddess. And you'll see her all over the tomb. She's right here on the inside of this doorway. This is Ma'at, and so is this. She's depicted as a lady with a ostrich feather tucked into her headband. And that feather is actually the hieroglyph word for Ma'at, too. So she has her name on her head. Lots of the goddesses actually wear their names on their head. That's how we identify them. So Ma'at is a word, is a concept, is a goddess. She's not the kind of goddess that you hear stories about who has big mythological adventures. She's just a concept, like our idea of liberty or justice holding up the scales. The reason she's in the tomb is because Ma'at is necessary for rebirth. You have to, in order for the cycle to continue, that's Ma'at happening. But not just on the big cosmic level. Ma'at is something humans have to do. You have to live your life in balance. You have to follow the social justice order. If you are a bad person, if you defy Ma'at, the things that would be bad according to Egyptian religion are if you hurt your neighbor, if you steal from them, if you kill, if you dishonor the gods, there's some that are really strange that they throw into, if you eat feces, that's a bad one. If you, anything that goes against the order of things, that's not doing Ma'at. And so the final step in the afterlife, once you've made it through the path and past all the demons and the guardians, they take your heart, which is where they thought your soul was, and they weigh it against the feather of Ma'at. You might have seen this scene in some other tomb paintings. They usually show the jackal-headed god Anubis weighing at the scales. It's not, people have sometimes said that if your heart is lighter than the feather, you get in. That's not how it works. Your heart has to be in balance with the feather. Everything's about maintaining balance. And if you're found to have lived your life in balance in accordance with Ma'at, you get into the afterlife. You're accepted, the gods welcome you, you get invited to the barbecue every day. If you're not invited, they take your soul and they throw it to a demon that eats your soul and you cease to exist. So maintaining Ma'at is the most important thing you can do to ensure the afterlife. Cosmic level, be nice to the gods. Social level, be nice to your neighbors. People will say in their tombs, we have spells that are basically say what your heart will testify in this when it's being balanced. And it's a court of law. It's giving testimony against you or for you. And the heart is supposed to say things like, I never stole. I fed the widow. I clothed the naked. I helped my neighbor put his boat into the river. I only did good things. I always praised the gods. I always honored my mother. They even had a spell called the negative confession, which if you had it with you, your heart would only be allowed to say good things about you. Even if you were a murderer, your heart wouldn't be allowed to say that because of the spell. And the Egyptians, being very practical, said, well, if there's no testimony, they can't judge you for it. It's a court of law, and the gods abide by the laws. So they used this weird legal loophole with a spell to say, we're going to guarantee people get in. We're going to make it easier for people to get into the afterlife. And all you need to do is buy something with this spell on it. If you're a rich person, you write it all the way around your tomb. Or if you're a medium-sized, wealthy individual, you can buy a book of the dead, which we call them, a scroll that you bury with you. If you're poor, you have the important spell written on a little amulet that you wear, and it could be made of metal, it could be made of clay, whatever. You buy whatever you can afford that you think will get your chances improved in the afterlife. So if you are a murderer, you probably buy extra backup copies of that spell. It's very interesting. Anyone can get into the Egyptian afterlife, even though the people who get there in style, like Nefertari, are going to be given full honors, and they've got no chance of failing. They've got so many protective spells with them. But this isn't a point in time where poor people are denied a heaven. The Egyptians were equal in the sense that people could get in. You expected your family and your loved ones to get in, especially if you, the living, buried them properly and treated them honorably. All right, let's go into the bottom half of the tomb. All right. We'll wait right here in the stairwell. There's one thing that's worth pointing out in here. So this room is just sort of an interesting example of how full of information the tomb is. Even though all the walls and ceilings are sloping, they fill every inch they can with spells and texts and information. You'll see there's Ma'at again. She sometimes has wings as a protective goddess. And here she is above the doorway. She's on the insides of the doorway, but here she is above the doorway of this tomb. And this is a really important little spell for our understanding of Nefertari. It basically says, blessed be Nefertari, daughter of, and then this is a spell that you'd find in anyone's tomb. It's just sort of identifying her. And it should say something like, Nefertari, daughter of Bob and Linda, or whatever her real parents' names were. You'd expect to find her honoring her parents in her tomb. Even if she was a commoner who was raised by peasants, she should still name her parents. There was a very important queen named Queen Tia who seems to have been born common. And she not only honored her parents in her life in her tomb, but she gave them a royal burial too. So this is not something that should stop you from listing your parents' names. But it doesn't say her real parents' names. What it says instead is, blessed be Nefertari, daughter of Ma'at. You see how Ma'at's depicted here in the picture part, but her head actually goes up through the line and interrupts the text. This feather you read across the sentence as part of the sentence. So it's combining text and image in this really interesting way, all to make this really crazy statement that Nefertari is the literal daughter of a goddess. And you don't see that in ancient Egypt normally. The only person who gets to say they're related to the gods is the king himself. He is the son of Ra, the sun god. And he says that all the time. That's essentially his second name, Ramses, son of Ra. But Nefertari gets to call herself daughter of Ma'at for some reason. And again, there's no reason they had to let her have this honor. The fact that it's in this tomb means she must have had permission. Ramses and the high priest agreed she was worthy of it. But what did she do to get it? It's the perfect thing to say in your tomb. If you're the daughter of justice and order and balance, that's a diplomatic passport that's going to get you in. You essentially, right this way, Mrs. Ma'at Jr., you're going to get into the afterlife. But it's still very strange that she doesn't name her parents and that she makes this really bold statement in her tomb instead. And frankly, we don't know what to make of it. It could be lots of different things. The only thing we can decide is Nefertari was clearly very important if she got away with this.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Who was the first emperor that made the first pyramid? Because this is a tomb, right?
This is a tomb. We're underground. We're carved out of rock in a mountain. The pyramids were about 2,000 years before this. And the first pyramid is usually credited to a man named Djoser. And he created a pyramid. Back then, they were just sort of building squarish buildings and getting buried underneath them. And he decided he wanted a squarish building on top of a squarish building on top of a squarish building. It's described as a mountain reaching up to the sky or imitating the sun and its light streaming down. So Djoser's step pyramid is not only the first pyramid, but it's the first big building ever built in stone anywhere in the world. Before that, they were using mud bricks and stuff like that. So it's a really incredible building. But by now, for 2,000 years, the Egyptians have given up on pyramids. A big old royal pyramid is a perfect sign to robbers, dig here, the gold is here. You know, all the royal pyramids were completely robbed. We found nothing in them except a big empty box, you know. So the Egyptians now are into digging underground and hiding the tombs so that it's harder for tomb robbers to find them. So they stand a chance of being preserved. That's how King Tut made it. He had a tiny little tomb and they covered it with debris and rock after he was buried. And everyone forgot about it because he was not an important king. All the really important ones, Ramses, Nefertari, they were robbed pretty early, sometimes by people who helped build the tombs because they knew where it was. Lots of them were inside jobs. But by now the Egyptians are into keep it secret, keep it safe kind of situation. Underground is deep underground. It's symbolic. You're going to be like the seed that is buried and springs forth for new life. You're also going to be well protected deep in the earth and things like that. And also it's really hard to get to the Valley of the Kings unless you have modern, you know, buses and things. It takes a while to walk. If you were walking there carrying water, you would be very exhausted by the time you walked there. And if you were going to try to break in, steal gold, and drag all the gold out, you'd probably die without, you know, horses and camels and things. So they're really trying to make it more difficult for people to break into the tombs. This is a deep cavern within the earth. Good question. All right, let's come into the burial chamber. It's the deepest part of the tomb. It's symbolically the center of everything. Let's see. So, went around her coffin here. So this is the burial chamber. The coffin would have been put between the four columns, sort of smack in the middle. In the real tomb, we don't have her coffin or sarcophagus anymore. This, along with everything else, was broken into pieces and taken out by the tomb robbers. We have tiny little fragments, so we know that it was made out of granite that was pink and glittery. It would have been very expensive. You had to get it from like 1,000 miles away. So the tomb robbers chopped it up into smaller pieces and dragged it on out because they knew they could resell it. But the paintings in the tomb are the one thing that the tomb robbers couldn't use. If you try to pull those off the wall, they're going to crumble. You can't reuse it. You can't sell them to anyone else. You can't melt it down like you can gold. So that's why the tomb paintings in here are preserved. And Nefertari and all the Egyptians knew that as long as anything with your name, anything with your picture, and anything with the word survives, you're going to be fine in the afterlife. So the very fact that her tomb is still here, and we can see her on the walls, means even though her body was destroyed, even though all of her gold and goods were taken, she's still herself in the afterlife. She still has food and, you know, endless cloth and endless everything she'd like. Her tomb works, essentially, is what I'm saying. So this room doesn't show Nefertari interacting with the gods in the same way. Most of the characters in this tomb are what we consider underworld demons. And we use the word demon in a non-judgy way. They're not good, they're not bad, they're just really powerful. And their job is to guard the gates of the underworld. So on this wall, you'll see all these gods sitting, kneeling in shrines. You see they're in little gold pavilions. And on this side, you'll see them lined up in front of gates. They're actual doorways. This yellow thing here with the red in the middle is a doorway. And this all represents the journey Nefertari has to make through the afterlife to get to where Osiris and his family are going to judge her and weigh her heart against Ma'at. So, for instance, here's the second gate. And the spells in front of it tell Nefertari what she's going to say and what she's going to do to get through the gate. The second gate is guarded by Dumhat, who is a ram-headed god. His name means something like he of the forehead, he of the big forehead, he of the strong forehead. But it might also be translated he who smashes the forehead. These guys all have knives. Let's just show them here. These long curvy blade things that they're holding are knives. Same on that wall too. And if you don't pass the test, if you treat them disrespectfully, you don't know their names, you don't pay them off enough, they will cut you into pieces and you will cease to exist. But since Nefertari has all the spells, she's going to pass the test, she's going to get through the gate, and then those demons use the knives to protect her from evil. So each time she sort of levels up, she advances, she wins more friends and things like that. The Egyptians saw the gods, all the gods, but all sorts of things, not as evil, but powerful. A hippopotamus can kill you. They were deathly afraid of hippopotamuses. They're still very dangerous in Africa. So one of their main goddesses is shaped like a hippopotamus. And sometimes she's also got a crocodile tail just to make her extra awesome. And because hippopotami are so dangerous and so strong and powerful, they decided if they respect the hippopotamus, treat it as a goddess, she will protect them. She will use her force for good. She will use her force to be good back to them. And so Taweret, the hippo goddess, is the goddess of childbirth and the goddess of protecting children. You take the scariest thing you can think of and you make it your friend and your ally. That's why you see gods with knives. That's why you see goddesses with snakes coming out of their heads who are also lions. You combine all the scary things you think of. That's how we envision the powers of the universe. The Egyptians knew that their gods didn't look like this. They didn't expect that Ra was a real person with a falcon head living up in the sky. They knew that these were all ways that they, the Egyptians, had of picturing them so they could focus their religion more. In that way, they wouldn't have liked to be called like idolaters. They were a lot more sensible than that. They knew it was all symbolic, but they took it very seriously because this was the tried and true way of relating to the gods. All right. So one of the reasons, oh, is that a question? No. Okay. One of the reasons I really like this tomb model is you can tell so much about the tomb that you wouldn't be able to tell from learning in books. If you stand right where the coffin is, and her head would have been here, and her feet would have been down here, you can see all the way up the staircase to where she's worshiping Osiris when she first comes into the tomb, and you can also see all the way to the straight back room here. The rooms are all connected by where she's looking. You can see here she's worshiping this god here on this wall, but it also goes around the corner to worship these gods. If you were studying it like a flat picture in a book, you'd only see one wall at a time. But because we're in a 3D model, you can see how it works. Now, unfortunately, this back room, which would have had something really important in it considering where it's placed, was so damaged by the time the archaeologists found it that we don't know what was on the walls. You can go on in. Those ceilings a little low if you can fit. You might have to shrink your avatar a little. Yeah, you're all making it. The only thing that's
To
original.
quickly shrink your avatar, just press the minus key.
Yeah. The only thing that's original to this room is the other side of this wall where there's a little picture of a kneeling goddess. The rest of the images inside were taken from other tombs of the time period. So when they made the 3D model, they filled them in with other Egyptian tomb scenes. So the real Egyptian art, they really belong in tombs, but they don't belong in Nefertari's tomb specifically. So it's not authentic to her tomb, although it is something you'd expect to see in a tomb. However, since Nefertari's tomb in general is slayed out so particularly to focus on that wall, it would be really nice if we knew what had been on that wall. It probably wasn't a scene like that. It might have been another picture of Osiris. But we'll just never know because it was gone long before archaeologists got here, unfortunately. All right. In the last bit of time we have, I'm going to take you to these side rooms. We don't know what would have been in them in ancient times. They were probably sort of just filled with stuff. Unlike the rest of the tomb, they're not on the main route. And since they're off to the side, we kind of think they're less important. But there's some really interesting things inside. Okay, come on in.
Can all of us fit in here?
Yeah, this one will definitely all fit in here. And the ceiling's a little higher. We should be able to stand. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So come on in.
Yeah, can we do? Yeah.
Yeah. We'll all shuffle around so everyone can see all the room. Yeah.
Exactly.
So this room is really interesting. If you look at Nefertari in it, she's right here and she's right there on the wall. So whichever one you can see better is fine. She looks the same on both sides. But if you take a look at how she's depicted, it's a little different than everywhere else in the tomb. Can anyone tell what's different about her here? It's really subtle.
Is it the thing on her head?
Yeah, she doesn't have the big tall feathers on her head. She's not in her full majesty anymore. She's still got the vulture crown. That's one of them. Yeah. Anything else? There's a lot of little details that are different here, but they're all really subtle.
I find her a little bit darker.
She is darker skinned. Yeah. She doesn't have the shading on her cheeks. She's painted pretty flat in her face, especially on that wall. Good. Yeah. Also, in terms of the painting quality, her dress isn't see-through anymore. You can't see her skin color through the sleeves or through the bottom. It's painted flat. And it's still beautiful. No problem, you know, and we still know it's Nefertari. Her jewelry is a little different too. It's not painted as if it's big and heavy and gold. And she doesn't have her red belt on. Now, all these things are fine. It's not like they're mistakes that are going to mess up her chances of the afterlife, and you're allowed to have variety in your tomb. But the fact that the paint quality is different, that it's not as careful and beautiful, the shading's not there, the see-throughness isn't there, has some people thinking that this room we're in might have been painted by the students. That it was sort of the practice room. And we know people had to practice at tombs. You know, we know the whole apprenticeship of learning to paint, and it's good painting. There's no mistakes. There's no big blobs or, you know, ugly spots. It's all correct. And the words are all correctly spelled. So whoever was painting in this room probably had a proofreader or a shift management boss who came in and through and went, yeah, it's fine. Good job. It's fine. It's good afterlife spells. It's good work. She still looks beautiful. We're fine. But there's a couple of other things that are missing. Take a look at this cow. This cow is the goddess Hathor, and sometimes she's a person and sometimes she's a cow. It doesn't bother us. But whether she's a person or a cow, she usually wears a very beautiful necklace. And in some scenes she's even seen holding up the necklace and holding it out to you. It's made of flowers as well as gold, so it's like smelling the beautiful perfume and getting blessings from her beautiful jewelry. Hathor is a love, beauty, sex goddess, so she really likes to be extravagant. And even when she's a cow, she's usually shown wearing that necklace. And her necklace was known to be so extravagant, like a lot of Egyptian necklaces were. It was so heavy, it would drag you to the floor. Lots of Egyptian necklaces are made out of stone and gold, and they would drag you down because they're so heavy. So they'd put a big pendant down the back to equal out the weight. Here you can see the cow's got the pendant on. This is the shape of it. It's called a counterweight, and this is the shape. Most pendants are in that shape. But they left off the necklace. There's no reason to have a counterweight without a necklace. We have no cases of that happening in real necklaces. So this might be another place where the artists, you know, you paint the whole cow and then the necklace overlaps, so you paint it last. Oops, they forgot. This could very well be a student room, maybe by a graduate student, maybe someone who really is almost a master, who knows what they're doing, but a couple of little things snuck by. Now there's the other school of thought that maybe this is all intentional. Maybe she's supposed to look like that. Maybe the cow doesn't have a necklace on purpose. Maybe it all means something in the religion that we just don't understand. The truth about reading ancient Egyptian is we can read it, we know what it says, but we don't know what it means sometimes. Think about how hard it is to interpret the Bible or Shakespeare or anything, even in your own language. You still have to interpret it. You have to understand the jokes and the references. And we modern people don't all the time. So maybe in this room, the cow is supposed to have no necklace and the woman is supposed to have no belt, and it all represents something that's very important, but we don't know. So until we get more references, read more texts, maybe have someone explain the joke in a notebook page somewhere that they threw away 1,000 years ago, we're just not going to know for sure. And I tend to think this is the student room where people were just practicing and they didn't get it quite right because, I mean, I could do this. If you were following a pattern book very carefully, I mean, it's beautiful. The lines are great, but it's not. The rest of the tomb is called the Sistine Chapel of ancient Egypt. It's compared to the most beautiful paintings in the world. This is a bit more coloring book. This is a bit more my speed. What do you think? Do you think you guys could do this?
If it was paint by numbers.
Yeah, you could color it in.
Exactly.
Exactly. You have someone go around, paint the outlines, and then you color it in. And of course, you paint Nefertari without the shaded cheeks, and you forget her belt. Oops. Yeah, it could be done. I could trust the apprentice in here to do this room. And it's not on the main drag of the tomb, so no one will really see it a lot. Yeah, put the students in here and have them do something. All right, let's finish up in the room straight across the hall. There's a nice little detail in it.
just go
Good job. You're
backwards.
doing a great job.
Yeah, yeah. Ouch, my world.
Can't do that in a
Okay.
real team or you will hit the wall hard. All right. So this is another little room.
Is
that's
everybody?
just- I think everyone, yeah, now we are.
Yeah.
This is another little room that's out of the way that we don't really know what it would have been used for, what would have been, probably would have had storage. It would have been full of things. It's, again, it's good painting. And if you look at Nefertari here, you can actually see it's Nefertari. We're back to the shaded cheeks. We know it's her because it's got her name. But what's going on with the rest of her? She's got no arms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Does anyone have any guesses on what's going on here?
It's like she's mummified already.
Yeah, exactly. Here she's shown as a mummy, and she's shown as a red-wrapped mummy, even though they usually did white, because red is a magical color. And if you actually look down by her feet, you can see she's standing on a little platform. She's a statue. She's a mummy. She's a dead thing. She's not moving around. And everywhere else in the tomb, you see her not just in her beautiful dress, but you see her active. You see her praying. You see her touching people. You see her doing stuff. Here she's an inanimate object. Even though she has her beautiful face, she's not moving around. She's not the Nefertari we know. And the text next to her, sorry, wrong button. This sentence says something really interesting. And it's standard to have in a tomb, but it's really interesting that it happens right here. It basically says, Osiris, king of the afterlife, gives blessings to Nefertari, the Ma'at. It calls her a Ma'at. It calls her justified. So here it's saying that Nefertari is someone who made it past the trials, was found to be worthy, and is now in heaven, essentially. She's blessed in the afterlife. She's essentially a goddess herself now. She's good. But it doesn't show her as an almighty queen here, full of grace and everything. It still shows her as a mummy, which is a really interesting juxtaposition. And it's funny that it happens in this little room out of the way, and if you stand where the mummy is, you're actually peeking right out the door to where her actual coffin and her actual mummy would have been. So it's very literal about what it's doing here. But it also sort of, yeah, isn't it neat? She's looking at her own body. Yeah. But it also sort of hints at something that the Egyptians believed about the living and the dead and how they interacted. The idea is they don't believe in zombies or reincarnation. They don't believe Nefertari is going to come, she's going to be reborn and come back to Earth in any way. They were pretty practical about that. They believed that you enter the afterlife and it's a spiritual rebirth. You become something different. You keep your personality, but you're not coming back as a human again. That's not what you do. So emphasizing the mummy, the deadness of her, the differentness of her, is a statement saying like, yeah, all throughout the tomb, we picture her as we remember her, we the living. We remember her as a queen. We remember her as graceful. We're happy to think of her with the gods, but she's not coming back. She's different now. She's beyond us. But the sentence, calling her a ma'at, calling her a justified spirit, reminds us that she still has a role in our living world. Just like the gods, the honored dead were thought to have the power to come visit us bodilessly, spiritually, as a ghost, essentially. Visit our homes, come to us at night, keep demons away, keep illness away, protect us. She's got knives and swords and the fire of the gods on her side now. She can do a lot to protect us. So we, the living, remember her, give her offerings, bless her, just like we do to the gods, so that she'll be on our side. And as a queen of Egypt, she doesn't just have to protect her own family. She can protect anyone who asks her, anyone who comes to her. And we know the Egyptians took this very, very seriously because we have letters they wrote to their deceased relatives. We literally have letters from a husband writing to his dead wife, our daughter's sick, please help us. At the same time, we have thank you notes. Thank you, grandfather. The plague came and all of us are well. So they took it very, very seriously. The idea that the dead are still with us, even though they're different. And I just think it's so funny and touching that this one little corner of the tomb that no one really bothers to look at has this weirdly powerful combination of ideas in it. It's really clever. So the thing I'll leave you with today is I'm an archaeologist. I've worked in tombs with dead bodies and stuff before, and it's messy. I mean, emotionally and, ethically messy. Nefertari did not want us in here. This is her tomb. When she was buried in it, it was supposed to be closed forever, and humans weren't supposed to see it again. anytime you're dealing with sacred places, burial spaces, and especially human remains, you're probably going against the wishes of that individual person. And it's very important to remember they're real people. This is not a generic tomb model we're walking you through either. This is a real woman's tomb. And even though it's a virtual reality model, it's up to each individual to decide how seriously do you take it. Do you think you're in a sacred space right now? Would Nefertari approve of what you're doing? And I don't have the answer to that because she never thought of virtual reality, I'm pretty sure. What I do, yeah, but what I do tell, yeah, she might be okay with it.
Yeah,
but
that's why I say, because she might be, interested that somebody's seeing her story.
Exactly. Even if I do say that the virtual model will never take over the real tomb. If you get the chance, go see her real tomb. It is astonishing. It is beautiful. Go to Egypt by all means. It is great to go to Egypt and study these tombs. However, you have to admit they're not thrilled with the idea of people in their private space. But the thing that they would be thrilled with is the idea that they're still in memory. Our memory is a blessing to her in the afterlife. And they actually say in their tombs, not this one, but all sorts of Egyptian tombs would say outside where the little, stone marker and their name would be. It would say to strangers as they go, say, you who walks by, remember, you'll be like me. So while you walk the earth, remember to speak my name. That's how they'd say it. Just by speaking someone's name, you keep them in memory and you're giving them an offering in the afterlife. So the fact that we're in Nefertari's space, virtual or otherwise, can be questionable. But we're all here from around the world, thousands of people every year, speaking her name over and over again. And that she would speak her name all you can.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Especially on Friday. Yes, it is Women's Day. Come on.
Good, yeah. This is a powerful woman, and whatever she
Exactly.
did impressed the heck out of one of the most powerful men in the world, who, again, was a megalomaniac. So, I mean, not a question. When he carved his name into a monument, he carved it deep enough to put your whole arm in so that no one could ever erase it. He was a crazy person. So, but he respected the crap out of Nefertari. So when you talk about ancient Egyptians, if you're in a museum, if you're seeing mummies, if the little name tag has their actual mummy's name on it, speak it. Even if you pronounce it wrong, they'll be very happy to have their name spoken. I don't know if you believe in all of that sort of spiritualism, but they did. And so it's doing a nice thing from their point of view. So thank you for coming to the tour today. Thank you for speaking Nefertari's name and for letting me speak it at least 20 million times. If you have questions, you can email me. I'm Bethany Simpson, and my email is bethanyysimpson@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer follow-up questions or feedback if you want to know something else or you didn't appreciate the way I did this or whatever. I like being contacted. It's good. Are there any other questions while we're still in here? We can take a quick peek and...
At this point, I'm just
overwhelmed.
I'm overwhelmed. It has to sink in.
Good. Okay. Well, also there's other tours signed up for in perpetuity. So if you want to take it again, you're welcome to. There's 3 of us who give tours, so it might not be me, but even every tour I give, it's different every time. And especially if you ask questions, if you want to sort of hijack the tour and take it talking about this topic, we will do that. That's the kind of services we offer here. We want your interests to be fulfilled. So yeah, I'll take off if you guys don't have any questions immediately, but please do contact me if you like.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Really, it's really great.
Good. I'm really happy with what this can do for Nefertari, for education, for Egyptology.
Especially for education.
It's an amazing thing. I'm doing a school group next week, and it's going to be really exciting to see.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm going to head out. Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Okay.
Bye, Bethany.
Bye.
Okay.
I guess we're all going to the spot, or we're gonna walk around. What we're gonna do, guys?
Walk around some. You got time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just until they kick you out. Yeah.
Oh, they'll kick us out.
Well, yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see. This is so cool. Alright, so there's cow there, and then We can walk and look at everything carefully.
Be all night to read the story.
By the way, guys, thank you for tuning in to the
Pretty
tour.
cool tour, huh?
It is. It is.
And we're just gonna look around, and then we're gonna show. They're walking around. The tour guide
I'm
left.
really going to start look different to these pictures right now.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, you get now the specifics, like you say, for how she looks. You know, how they painted her and how the gods are painted and stuff like that, or yeah.
Oh
Those
man.
everything.
I wish we asked her the question about the snake right here.
Ooh. You can email her.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or do the tour again.
I might do the tour again.
Mm.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Hi. Even an echo in here.
Echo.
Echoes.
All right, we are in the spot. So this is a place where you experience stuff. And let's see, we want to go to... This is the money tree. So you actually could get money from this experience. Money just comes down randomly. And yeah. There's like nobody here. It's like dead. Let me teleport. Alright. Where is... This is the bank. You gotta go to the bank. Oh, snap. There's someone in here. Hi.
Hi, I'm the banker.
Hi, banker.
Good timing.
I know. It's quiet today. I already have my grant, but is this where I go when I win bingo?
No, those will be sent out automatically, I believe.
Oh, cool, cool,
Somebody,
cool.
somebody has to process them.
Oh, okay. So quiet today. Where's everybody? It's usually a party.
You know, I don't know.
It's weird.
I don't know.
Is Tara doing assistance today or no?
I can check.
Cool. I want to say hi to her. I always bother her with questions. There's another guy. I forgot his name. I have to check my friend list, I think. Let me see. Oh, Zach. Is Zach here?
Yeah, Tara will be in later, and Zach's in.
Let me bother
Yeah,
Zach.
Zach should be in.
Where's Zach?
He should be over in the help area.
Perfect. I'm gonna go bother Zach. Bye, banker.
Hi.
Aw. Bye, one. Enjoy lunch. Alright, so let's go bother Zach. So Zach is one of the cool people. He's one of the developers. Is this Zach?
It is Zach.
Hi, Zach.
Hello.
You remember me?
Hey there.
I always...
This does sound familiar.
It's all I dream. I always
Yeah,
bother
see.
you. Anyway, I have questions. Are you ready for questions?
Yeah, always. That's why we're here.
I
Answer
know.
Questions.
Let me sit down.
And to eat sandwiches.
Alright, so I'm sitting down. Oh no, I'm standing up again. Hold on. Ugh.
I'm gonna sit down.
Why you took my seat? Oh. Okay. Alright, there we go. Alrighty. So, I have a lot of questions because I'm streaming this. Say
You
hi
only get
to
one.
say hi to the broadcasting world over there. Say hello.
Hello.
Alrighty, so they want to learn about virtual reality, if it's a game or not.
I mean, there are virtual reality games. Like you got stuff like H3 horseshoes, hot dogs and hand grenades and stuff like that, which would be considered VR games. But like High Fidelity, Janus, Sansar, VR Chat, people tend to classify them as social VR platforms. High Fidelity and Sansar kind of fall under the lines of massively multiplayer game engine because essentially you can create your own games in
True.
High Fidelity.
Yeah.
More so in High Fidelity than any other platform currently. But other people call them metaverses. There's a lot of titles being thrown around for platforms or games or whatever you want to call these. So.
Oh, and I have another question. Is there going to be like any other different tours? I just finished the Egyptian tour and that was so cool.
So far we've had previous tours in the past. None of them weren't as, I would say, successful as the Egyptian tour ones. Usually they lasted a month or two. The Egyptian tour has been going around since January, so
Wow.
I think since it's had such a great success that yeah, we're definitely going to be doing more tours in the future, hopefully.
Cool. And I just found out bingo's every Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the next little while. I think it's going to be all of this month, and then that's it for the bingo for a while.
Yay, bingo.
And we have Multicon coming up too.
I know about Multicon. I don't think I'm going to be attending Multicon though.
Yeah, well, we have it's actually 3 events, so if you don't make the first one, you might be able to make the other 2.
I'm checking the events website right now. Workshop Wednesday. When's that?
Every Wednesday.
Oh.
Today's Wednesday, so.
I just missed it. Never mind.
No, it's you didn't miss it. Workshop Wednesdays will be happening in, hold on, at 2 p.m.
Hey there.
In an hour essentially, in almost 2 hours.
Oh, darn.
An hour and 50 minutes.
How do you get invited to this thing? You just sign up. highfidelity.com. It's free. Let's see. Office.
Oh, are you streaming right now?
I just said I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you didn't catch that. I did.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow, everyone is so fascinated by this.
Oh.
They don't believe me that you could get real money from this. Can you tell them about the money tree and stuff?
Oh, so High Fidelity supports a cryptocurrency that has real-world value. Currently, it's around $1 per 100 HFC. And that's what we want it to be static, so it will always be around $1 per 100 HFC. So I'm not sure if we're going to raise that or lower that in the future. But yeah, you can buy and sell HFC currently. You can only buy it through Ethereum, but we are going to be offering more purchasing options in the future. And selling it, you have to have a minimum of, was it 5,000 HFC?
5,000, yeah.
To order to sell your HFC.
Yeah, I think the banker told me.
Yeah, and when you sell, it goes directly through PayPal.
What's the town hall?
Town hall is where Philip, our CEO, and a few of other developers come in and talk about upcoming features and events and things that are planned. And we host every week. Usually, if we launch an update, that usually happens right after the town hall as well. And most of the time, we talk about said features in that update during that town hall as well.
Aw, thank you guys. Such a help.
No problem.
Oh look, finally people are on the spot.
And thank you that you fixed my problem. I can't come in here in this spot for, I don't know, for 1 week I had problems and I can't go
I
in
remember
here.
you. You can talk now. That's awesome.
Ah,
Hi.
you remember me?
Yeah, Thursday. Last Thursday I saw you had issues
Yeah,
with your
yeah, yeah.
audio.
Yeah,
And you
yeah, yeah, right.
and you were playing bingo.
Yeah, yeah.
See? Good memory.
Now, yeah, you have good memory. But now I'm here. That's good. My problem is fixed.
Oh, I have a question, Zach, or any of you.
What's up?
How do I get the name tags again? They disappeared.
So there are several different name tag scripts out there. Like I have one, if I click on people, name tags appear above their head.
Yeah.
But you can get ones that are consistent. You can always go to the marketplace and search like name or tags, and it will give you all the different name tag scripts. But if you also get the Fox Essentials, they have like 3 different name tags capabilities on that. The snail tags and monkey's name tag are the ones. The snail's tags are pretty cool because you get to customize your name tag, and everybody else gets to see your customization as well.
Snail tag, you said?
Yeah, I think that's what this one is.
Stop being friends. I don't understand why.
Apparently, it's still in like experimental, it seems, because it has a warning on it saying the script might crash your interface.
Oh no, we don't want that. I'll use Kane.
It's refreshing to friends.
Yeah, Kane is the one where you click on people.
No.
And that's the one I use the most.
Say a pick, let's say.
Oh, I have it. Oh wait, I just installed it now. Okay, cool. I have it now.
Oh, Kane's one got updated.
There we go. Yeah, it got updated.
Okay.
Zach!
It actually has like an app.
Wait, Zach, didn't you change your avatar?
You have 2 Zachs in Hi-Fi, so.
Oh, that's probably why.
I'm the Zach on the SEA team, and then there's one of our lead programmers.
Yeah. That's him. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
No problem.
Hey,
Oh.
Art, it's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's indeed a while.
Oh, now there's people coming in.
Yep. I heard that we had a user having connection.
Hi.
And the person that was asking me about that, I told them to tell you to send in an email with your.
So yeah, this is High Fidelity. It's a virtual world. We finished my tour. You shake hands to become friends.
It's big.
All right. There's even virtual food. You can't make this stuff up.
I'm waiting for Juliette now to log in.
Alright, I'm over it. So yeah, there you go. There's a virtual tour. Hopefully they bring more virtual tours to High Fidelity. It's super fun. It takes a lot of memory, it takes a lot of CPU, and you need to have really good internet to be able to just connect to it, period. Like, that just made my laptop really hot. Oh no, it's its own world. But people do make their own worlds, like video game worlds. Like, there's a Zelda world. There's many video game worlds. It's still like brand new. It hasn't been out for a long time because what happened is they came up with this because there was another thing on Steam called VR Chat, but VR Chat has a lot of controversy and a lot of racism and stuff, and High Fidelity does not tolerate that. High Fidelity is actually a clean version of VR chat. And I was actually one of the beta testers for it. I couldn't talk about it though at that time because we didn't know it's going to be such a hit, and now look at it, it's a big hit. It's pretty cool. So I finished. That's my end of my stream. I know you miss me, guys. I know you want me to stay longer, but I actually have to do something. Oh my god. Let me sign out before I get a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, it is fun. It's a cool place. And you get to meet new people around the world. It's so dope. Any more questions? I would love to stream more, but I gotta go do something. I'm not even doing my Facebook stream today. I'm pushing that for tomorrow. So, yeah. Ta-da! Thank you for everyone who showed up. You guys are amazing. If you see me on a little earlier, it won't be Walking Dead. Walking Dead will happen midnight Eastern Standard Time, which I think is 10 p.m. California time. It's not like Minecraft. Minecraft is a little more thing, but you can have Minecraft characters there because people actually make their own avatars with special programs. I don't make my avatars, I just use people's avatars or buy them. I don't know, I didn't ask that question. I might do that tour again for people that missed it. If it's in high request. It will be a different tour guide and it will be different information. So I wouldn't mind to do that again. It is an hour. Oh, you're welcome. It was my first time doing that, so I was happy to do it. Okay, I'm gonna go, guys. Don't miss me too much. Bye. And today is Paul's birthday. Don't forget to wish Paul a happy birthday. A happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to